because God only knows how this is going to work. Tone played with it first, which was what I should have done, but I thought it was just going to be clicking a button. All right, we are definitely live now on YouTube. So I'm going to make sure I get this link out real quick for everybody because this is the first time using Zoom. So we are currently live, but I don't believe we're on the live on the correct link. So I'm going to go ahead and paste this link in for everybody right now for everybody to tweet this out. I'll paste it into our internal chat as well. Here's the new link. And then for our chat. Okay, so now I'm going to tweet it out. 1 second. And then we can go live. Yeah, this won't happen next time, guys. We're going to try to put some more practice into this. But first, I got to find my tweet.
All right, I just got it. Let's.
This. Oh my gosh. Oh well. Let's see. So I'll just tweet it out right directly then, I guess.
Yep, you're live. I see you. We're good.
Having some technical difficulties, but here is the new stream link. Okay. And let's see, clicking on this. I'm just going to need a new chat. Everybody's in the chat. Everybody's already in. All right, that's good. Pop out the chat, guys. Sorry again, guys, about all this. We're going to figure this out.
We can thank YouTube for taking down Google Hangouts, right?
Yeah. And so definitely thank Google for this, guys, because they actually killed, of course, the Google Hangout ability for us to go live with Google Hangouts. So we're testing out Zoom for the first time. And as a bonus, I actually can't get the video working for the other guests. So this should be a really good topic. Definitely fun. Let's see if everybody wants to give us something in the chat. Can you guys make sure that you can hear us, just to make sure? Can everybody see and hear us? And then I'll just go right into my quick bits here.
No pun intended.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Exactly. People. Exactly. Close this out and close this out.
Yeah, it looks like we're good.
All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the quick pick section. So again, sorry about that, guys. We'll get this figured out for next time. And actually, I should also be tweeting this out for under the CryptoCast account as well. So 1 second, I'm just going to tweet that out as well, and then we'll get into it. All right, copy, reply.
Well, I do appreciate you testing this out for us, so thanks.
Yeah,
now I know what to do.
Yeah, and I'm going to try to let everybody else know too. It's like Adam Meister, because there's a lot of people, of course, that having this difficulty right now. So I'm going to try to write up some information so everybody can be sure.
If we do like a normal Zoom call, are we able to stream the video from a normal Zoom call?
From a normal Zoom call, I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
And I've already tweeted out the link and
Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna try that. We're gonna try that.
All right.
And then reply. Having some technical difficulties. Here is the new link and tweet. All right, guys, let's get into this. Sorry again about all this. Let's go right into it. So I guess you guys can see we have we have some amazing panelists, but I'm gonna intro these panelists in a second, guys. So real quick, let's get into the quick bit section. This week, guys, there's been a couple things I want to talk about before we get into our 3 main topics. So that's going to be, let's close this out. And that's going to be the 3 main topics. We're going to be talking, the quick bit section, guys. Here we go. The Fed has cut interest rates for the first time since the birth of Bitcoin, guys. So this is pretty big news, because this is, of course, going to send more attention to Bitcoin, more attention to gold, and to these safe haven assets and things like that, which, of course, Bitcoin is now being considered. So that's pretty big and important. So make sure you guys check that article out. Of course, I had all these articles and the links to all these articles in the show notes of the previous stream, but I'll have these in this stream as well. Once this stream completes, you guys will be able to see all the links here. And then next story is the ICO treasury balances, guys, is steadily declining. We can see this, that there was a study by the Block, and they checked out over 57 ICO projects, and they analyzed it and basically found out that most of them have liquidated 72% of the amount they initially raised. That's over 8.2 million ETH in this particular settlement. So that's pretty interesting to see, guys. It's it's kind of like a hot potato. Everybody wants to sell their ICO stuff. Then we got a comparative analysis of Bitcoin forks. This was really cool because this was by coinmetrics, and they just wanted to find out what's happening with all the different forks over time. And what they have found is essentially the majority of the BCH and BSV, the majority of these forks are kind of being used more for data instead of actual money. So we're seeing the majority of the transactions on BSV being used for a weather app. We're seeing large blocks being crashing nodes and making them extremely expensive to run. All this combined with, of course, extremely low usage on these other forks. And meanwhile, of course, BTC miners earn more in a single day than the combination of most of these forks in an entire year. So again, there's not a whole lot of incentive to run security on these forks. So essentially what we're saying is that the study shows that the forks essentially are dying slowly but surely. So check that out, guys. And then Square is pretty cool. Square doubles their Bitcoin revenue. This is pretty awesome. Just showing the customer demand, guys. Just showing the demand for Bitcoin out there from the retail and from all sorts of people that want that, because they bought over $125 million of Bitcoin in the last quarter, in Q2 of 2019. Pretty interesting stuff. And then we have Bitcoin, a couple of different links from Nick Carter being linked here, guys. This is awesome. The great one and only Nick Carter. Make sure you guys follow him. But essentially, he's tweeted out that Bitcoin has peaked at an all-time high of 430 proof of work equivalent days, which refers to the time required to rewrite Bitcoin's entire history if you had 100% of the hash power. So that is pretty awesome, just showing the power of Bitcoin's security. And also, Bitcoin is nearing its billionth dollar charged in transactions fees. So that's showing the resilience of the fee. The fee market out there just continues to be more resilient. That's really awesome to see. And then finally, Nick has an awesome new article out that you guys really got to check out. It's how to better evaluate blockchains, and it's entitled "It's the Settlement Assurances Stupid." So you guys got to check that out. Nick doesn't pull any punches, guys. So definitely check that out. Really great article to see Bitcoin being resilient as ever. And then a couple announcements here that we're going to talk about a little bit later, because we do have Samson here. Blockstream has announced support for Liquid Network in their Lightning Network implementation, C Lightning. So that is really awesome to see, guys, the melding of Liquid and Lightning coming together. We knew that was going to be an inevitability, and it's really great to see Blockstream follow that through. And then they have also, in addition, Blockstream has announced the launch of Tether support on Liquid. So again, guys, just these side chains like Liquid, Liquid is the main side chain. They just keep on producing, guys, keep on producing more and more results. So make sure to check that out. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the rest of the show. So without further ado, let's introduce our panelists today. We have the great and one and only Lightning Hood. Lightning Hood, you know what? I don't even know your actual name, man. What is your name?
I go by Pura Vida. That's what everybody will know me on from Twitter and the site itself. So.
And one more time?
Pura Vida.
All right. Well, what do you want me to call you?
Pure is fine. That'll work.
Pure. I'll call him. Let's call him pure BTC.
There you go, man.
That's what I call him. So yeah, really great to have you on here. I met you, of course, over there in the conference in San Francisco, the 2019 Bitcoin conference. You guys were doing some really amazing stuff over there, and I really hope that more people check out your guys' channel as well. You guys have an awesome podcast. So really, thanks for being on the show, man.
I appreciate you having us. I'm looking forward to talking to everybody, and let's make it happen.
Absolutely. We're actually supposed to have one more person on the stream as well, but we had a last minute cancel. But let's go ahead and introduce the special guest, guys, for the stream today. The one and only Mr. Samson Mao, the CSO of Blockstream and CEO of Pixelmatic, and of course, the grand maker of all that is good in Bitcoin when it comes to hats. Samson, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on the show again.
Yeah, man, really sorry that I can't get your video on here. I know you're wearing a hat as well. I wanted us all to be having video guys showing us wearing our hats, and that seemed to not work out.
It's okay. I am wearing the hat, though, just so you know.
Just so you guys know, just the confirmation, guys. Samson is wearing the hat. And I have the whole collection, so maybe I should have brought that over here. But thanks again, man, for being on the show. Let's go ahead and get into the topics, guys. Really got some interesting topics today. The one, of course, the main one being the biggest one, guys, the UASF, the Bitcoin Independence Day, how this watershed moment defines the community consensus. You guys got to check out the article out there on Bitcoin Magazine. As usual, all of our main topics will be Bitcoin Magazine articles on bitcoinmagazine.com. Really love what you guys are doing over there. Shout out to you guys. So keep doing that. This is really a pretty a big topic. I believe even Peter McCormick, I think, is going to be covering this pretty soon in an overall series. But guys, this is for those that are new to the space, we really recommend you check out the history of this. Of course, Max Kaiser has a great video on this, but essentially just this was a culmination of a multi-year scaling debate. There was many attempts to change Bitcoin, the source code with XT, Classic, and BU. And then on August 1st, 2017, the UASF was set to be activated, but of course never did. We instead activated a different bit, and we have basically what we had was Bitmain running covert ASIC boost, and I don't want to get into the whole thing, guys. I actually want to hear from the panelists what they think about this, because this is a really big time. Again, this was the anniversary, August 1st of back in 2017. So Samson, let's go with you first, man. I don't want to sort of break the whole thing, but go ahead, give us your thoughts. Like what are we thinking here? The UASF 2 years later.
Well, I did a tweet storm on it, so I think 2 years later we may have forgotten a lot of the lessons and a lot of the feelings at the time, because time has passed and people just remember, yeah, we won, we got SegWit activated. But I just wanted to remind people that at the time it was never a sure thing. It was actually, it made a lot of people really nervous. And I think Brian Lockhart had a good description. It's like a white knuckle time to be a hodler, because Bitcoin could implode at that stage, and with that threat looming on the horizon. So yeah, I just wanted to remind people, it was never like a sure victory. It was always a fight.
Absolutely. I mean, it really was a scary fight. I don't think people understood just how scary it was. There was some very, high level people that sold their Bitcoin, and there's a lot of people that sold out just thinking that this was going to be toast. In fact, there was some really big macro economists as well that was thinking that maybe the forks would just dilute Bitcoin, and this was just would be the end of it. So very interesting to see just a couple years later how it has fallen through. And maybe Samson, you could just quickly comment on the whole hats situation that went through the UASF.
Yeah, so I guess I forgot when I did the hat. I think it was after we crowdfunded for Shaolin Fry to write the code for the UASF for BIP 148, right? Safe code to activate SegWit. And I think at that time, the abbreviation was being thrown out there. It's a user-activated soft fork. So I decided to make these hats, kind of like US Air Force style hats. And they got really popular. A lot of people started wearing them and showing their support, because also at that time, a lot of people didn't have a way to stake their advocate on behalf of SegWit or anything. So people just wore the hats, took selfies, and posted them on Twitter or set them as profile pictures. So I think it was an important avenue for expression and just showing your solidarity with the movement.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. This was followed, of course, by No2X, and there was 1 million No2X stickers that was put out at various Bitcoin conferences as well. And I think this just shows the grassroots support. This is how you show your grassroots support. There's a lot of people that call it like virtue signaling and try to downplay it. But at the end of the day, this was us showing our intentions and our feelings and what we believe to be Bitcoin to the world, I think. Any comments on that, Samson?
Yeah, I mean, you can always say it's virtue signaling, but way to express yourself and to show you support or don't support something. And I think it's important, because there is no real governance in Bitcoin. It's just people decide what software they want to run, and it's kind of hard to mining pool signaling was another issue. It was a problem in and of itself, because a lot of the pools, like with what they were signaling for, say, SegWit 2x, but they had no intention to follow through, right? So there's a definite shortcoming there. But for an average user, like, how do you signal something?
Yeah, Samson, you're kind of cutting in and out there on our end there, Samson.
Yeah, I lost you.
Sorry, maybe you can check your audio on that. So we'll go to. I do want to introduce Patrick Miller as well. Patrick Miller is on the channel, guys. We have him on from time to time as well. He's a Bitcoin enthusiast, and really glad to have him on to talk about UASF as well. Patrick, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I just kind of lurking back here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's, again, like you have video as well. I know, but you can't. I assume show your video either.
And you should assume I do have my UASF hat on as well.
See, everybody's got their UASF. Maybe we'll do another show, guys. Maybe we'll do another one where it's more planned out and things like that. But go ahead, Patrick. Go ahead and share your thoughts on the UASF.
Oh no, it was just a super exciting time in Bitcoin. I mean, it was like very stressful because, obviously a couple. Certain actors were trying to push a narrative that we had to hard fork and we had to increase the block size right away, and that was totally unnecessary at the time. We and SegWit just was the logical step. It was a soft fork. We didn't have to split the network, and this was going to allow the second layers to be developed like Lightning Network. So anyway, at the time it was very exciting to be a part of that. And listening to what Samson said, yeah, just being able to be a user and take action, run a node. I think that's really when like running a node became super important as a way to prevent large actors from being able to control the direction of the network.
Absolutely. I do want to read a quote from the article. It says, the biggest takeaway, however, is that Bitcoin Independence Day conveyed who really controls Bitcoin. It's aggregate user base, not the whims of a few mining and corporate oligarchs. And that's really important, I think, because it says this is why we celebrate August 1st. It was Bitcoin's first major community stress test. And rather than buckle under the pressure, the community rose to the occasion. So that's what's really important here, guys. Again, a really big takeaway. Go ahead, Pure. What is your thoughts?
Well, you guys pretty much nailed it on the head there. I am wearing a hat as well. We all are. So sorry, nobody can see that. But yeah, like you said, to me, the biggest thing, I mean, this was a grassroots movement right here. And what really, what in the end, what really happened is all us users out there that were running full nodes that signaled, that all the miners, they had no option at that point but to follow what us users were doing, because the economic incentives there were just going to go out the door on them. And it does show, just to your point of what you just quoted in the article, it shows that it's not really the miners that control anything. It's everybody out there running nodes. And that's why, all these companies like Casa, Nodl, and all these guys out here helping the RAS blitzes, everybody that's running full nodes. I mean, we're helping the network in this way. I mean, we need to, everybody that should be running a node that has any kind of tie to Bitcoin, in my mind, because, I mean, you never know when this is going to happen again, if it will. But I think it's important that every one of us out there are running nodes just for that reason.
Absolutely. It sets the precedence, right? So this is what's really important, is that, and even Shallenfry said, it's not really the UASF itself, it's the threat of the UASF, right? That is what sort of made these miners make economic moves, right? So because again, it was actually BIP 91, that locked in on July 20th. So the UASF actually didn't ever activate. It was the threat of the UASF. And that was what's really important, and we can do that, anytime that that large corporations or large interests try to control Bitcoin. We can at any time invoke something like this, because again, as long as people run their nodes, like you say, as long as people run their own nodes. Samson, we got you back here. Let's see if we can hear you.
Okay, is this good?
Yeah, that sounds good. So sorry, go ahead. Finish your thoughts there.
I forgot what I was talking about.
We're talking about the hats. We're talking about UASF, but it's okay. Maybe we'll get your final comments then.
All right. Yeah, so I was just saying the hats are a good way for people to indicate what software they're running, because unlike a mining pool, you can't really signal based on blocks you're mining what software you're going to run in the future. So proof of hat is invaluable for the average person to show what they're supporting.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Samson. Of course, we all got the hats on, guys, but you can only see me. We'll probably do another session where we can see all the hats, because I want to kind of show off all my hats, Samson. I got them all, man. And of course, you gave me the very last one, the Blockstream Spy at the conference, Bitcoin 2019. That was my last one to complete the collection. So we'll probably do another episode if you have time, Samson, at some point, and I'll bring all the hats over.
For sure.
Awesome. All right, guys. Let's get Pure's final comments on this, and then Patrick's final comments. So Pure, what's your final comments on this before we move on to the next topic?
Y'all need to run nodes out there. That's my final comment.
Yeah.
We need to make sure and run those nodes as easy as it is nowadays. I mean, with Pierre's node launcher, or like I said, Casa, the Noddle, even just running a few command lines. Everybody out there needs to do it. And let's, if this ever were to happen again, we'll be talking about the regulatory stuff here in a little while, but you never know what that's going to play down the road. We might have to, we might all be buying new hats from Samson. So good job starting that company, man.
Awesome. All right, Patrick, final thoughts, man, on this.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say that, up until the UASF, like, I think the Bitcoin mining pools and like miners, a lot of it was coming out of China at the time, a lot of the mining hash rate, but it felt like they were incredibly disconnected from the development community and the user community as well. And it just didn't seem like that there really was a way to bridge that gap. And I think the UASF and then Bit91, it sort of like forced everything to a head to the point where now the communities, or I'd say developers and users and miners, are much more have a much better understanding of their role in the ecosystem than they did before that. So that's pretty much my final comment.
I'm not sure that's true. I mean, BTCC pool was actually pretty well attuned to everything that's happening, right? It was one of the first pools to flag for SegWit.
Yeah, probably one of the few pools I thought that was well ahead of the others. But you were more connected to that than I was. Did you get a sense from the other mining pools and the people that were running them that they were, as technically savvy as the people at BTCC pool?
I think everyone is relatively savvy. The issue is more with Bitmain, because you have a threat from Bitmain for various things. So, at BTCC pool, after I flagged for SegWit, I kind of stepped out of line from Jihan's wishes. So he was actually threatening miners in our pool, saying, if you mine with BTCC, I'm not going to sell you ASICs anymore. And that's the kind of things. Those are the kind of things that people have to deal with. Like, they did have a monopoly on ASIC hardware and mining hardware, and you have to be careful about running afoul of Jihan. But I didn't care, so I just went ahead and signaled SegWit. But it's not that they don't know; it's that they have to be careful. So even if you look at No2x, how did F2 pool handle that? They followed the party line of Jihan and said, yeah, we're supporting 2x, but up until a certain date, because they knew after that date it's going to fall apart, so they stopped supporting it. But it's a very diplomatic way to accomplish disagreeing with Jihan.
Do you think that BCH has done a good job of sort of bankrupting that? Obviously he's still a billionaire, but in the sense of at least reducing his power significantly? Oh,
definitely. I mean, they did a good job doing that to themselves. And I'm not sure if he is a billionaire, but he's still got money. Bitmain's still alive. With the Bitcoin price rise, it's good, but it's also bad because now they have another lifeline. So we'll see what happens. But their power is reduced.
Yeah, it really was a cartel, wasn't it? I mean, and it really acted like one for a while, didn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely.
Now they're holding the biggest bags.
There's so many stories, guys, from pools and from other minor manufacturers that shows how dirty Jihan played the game. It was really bad, guys. So, but now, of course, just tweeted out this morning, there was an article about how many hundreds of millions of dollars, Bitmain has lost in this quarter alone, and they're going to continue losing money for a while because they simply, at this point, can no longer compete. They don't have the talent there to produce the chips, and so essentially, Bitmain is really, for the most part, sort of out of the game. Yes, it's still alive, but I give them a limited time before they're gone as well. And then Jihan, of course, has since left the company and moved on to other things. So
yeah, but just to be clear, he's still very much in control. Leaving the company is more of a way to appease the pre-IPO investors, but he's still a majority shareholder, and he's still got his fingers in the pot, stirring things up.
Interesting indeed. Well, we'll have to see how it plays out, but so far, I think it's to the Bitcoin network's favor, because again, all the good talent left that company. They're reporting continued losses, and so we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm hopeful for. I think Samson, you've been. I also want to thank you too for keeping everybody afloat with the competition of Bitmain. because a lot of people weren't really aware. I think, and I know personally, I wouldn't be aware of all the competition of Bitmain without you and your tweets, because you definitely let people know about other competition and how much faster they are and how much better they are and things like that. So I think you would know better than anybody. The competition has got to be doing pretty well right now, right? As far as the Bitcoin mining space compared to how it used to be in 2017 with Bitmain.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, well, first of all, I think a lot of people kind of pay attention to mining, but unless you've been in the industry and the mining industry, you don't really know. So I try to educate people, and I try to let people know exactly what's happening, like with Bitmain, especially because they like to represent things in a certain way. And unless someone presents a counterpoint, you kind of believe them, right? Because why else would you not believe them? But I think we're getting close to like the limits of 10 nanometer chips, and 7 nanometer process is still relatively immature. So they're all pretty good. I think the top two manufacturers right now are eBang and Micro BT, the guys that make the WhatsMiner, but they're better than the Bitmain hardware. But Bitmain has been known to sell stuff at a loss to be competitive. So you can still be a shitty ASIC manufacturer, but if you have money, you can sell it at a loss and still be kind of competitive, at least in the eyes of a consumer.
And of course, that still has a limited run. I mean, you can't be non-profitable forever, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And that's, I think obviously it's important too for investors as they pay attention to what's going on and seeing how terrible, the investments that Bitmain has made into things like BCH. So very interesting stuff. I think we can move on though, guys. I don't want to spend the whole time on this topic, but I really appreciate, again, Samson, your work in the UASF and everybody else is out there. Of course, Tone Vase and everybody else who's just, Eric Lombroso, the people who are trying to get the message out there of not just the UASF, but why the whole thing, what we're fighting for, why it's important. Things like why we don't want to go with Jeff Garsik's repo and things like that. So thanks for your work there, Samson. And I think we can move on to the next topic. Cool.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, guys. So let's move on to the next topic we have, which is again a little bit more political. Before we do that, we really would appreciate if you guys could go ahead and give us a thumbs up on YouTube. And if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate it. We're trying to get this message about Bitcoin out to more and more people. And if you guys enjoy and appreciate content like this, we would really appreciate it if you guys could check out our URL, our Bitcoin address on the website, cryptocast.network, and give us a donation. We really appreciate all the donations and feedback from you guys, because this really is a YouTube or a community run kind of YouTube channel. So we really appreciate all the feedback from you guys. So let's go ahead and move to the second topic. The Senate wrestles with Bitcoin versus crypto and sort of gauges need for regulation in the latest hearing. So guys, on Tuesday, July 30th, the United States Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs hosted a hearing on cryptocurrency and blockchain regulation. This is basically the third recent hearing in the past couple of weeks. And I want to give a shout out to Mr. Nathaniel Whitmore, because he did a great breakdown of this. I actually have a link to that as well that'll be in the show notes. And he basically broke it down into 3 points here. Nathaniel Whitmore, again, shout out to you guys, NLW, twitter.com/NLW. Yeah, he does some great coverage on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. He says his 3 main takeaways are that this was all still about big tech and Libra, and that banking the unbanked narrative is not only not currently helpful, but actively harmful. And then there is a sense of inevitability around crypto. So let's get your guys' thoughts on what happened there. Let's go with Samson first on this. Samson, I don't think you actually got a chance to check out the hearing live, but maybe do you have some kind of thoughts of takeaway of in general of sort of where these hearings are going and maybe some of the outcomes?
Yeah, so I watched the David Marcus one, but I didn't see the one where Jeremy Allaire was up there. But I can comment in general. I mean, it's good that this stuff is being discussed. And the biggest surprise for me was just how the the Congress people are so woke. Like, a lot of them really understand what's going on, and it sounds like they really care about privacy. I don't know if they actually do, but I mean, they're grilling Facebook about all the privacy issues, which is pretty good. I mean, the real question is, like, what happens when they want to regulate crypto like more aggressively, and what are they going to do with privacy coins like Monero, or what about the privacy built into Lightning, or what if we want to have a CT on Bitcoin someday? So that's the question. Like, it'd be interesting because they seem to be privacy focused, but then what will they actually do if money becomes private?
That's a great point. It seems kind of counterintuitive because we have all this KYC, AML in every part of our financial system, right? The current modern financial system, but yet they're grilling Facebook constantly for privacy issues. So it's a bit of a, a distress there. So we're going to see where they go. And my personal opinion is they're going to not really have a choice because, again, the sense of inevitability, right, is sort of coming. I wonder if that's going to extend to the privacy part because, again, Lightning, nobody's stopping that, right? That is just continuously evolving. Nobody's going to be able to stop that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Let's go ahead and go with Patrick next. Patrick, what are your thoughts on this, on the conversation so far? Like, this kind of separation between what Congress actually wants and what they're doing. So all of this grilling about Facebook when we have all of these other privacy coins still out there that they seem to not be aware of.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that. I think as they are exploring the ideas of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and these like this sort of tokenized basket of currencies, they're starting to ask the questions about trust and understanding, that trusted third parties are a security hole. So how do you control those trusted third parties while making them not, security holes? You really can't. And I think they're going to slowly discover that. It's been kind of encouraging to watch some of these comments coming out of these senators and representatives. They've been surprisingly pro-Bitcoin. It's interesting to see the media as well, like Joe on CNBC is, sort of like rubbing it right into Steve Mnuchin's face. And
Joe Squawk is awesome.
Yeah, he's amazing. It's so fun to watch. And I think that, like, honestly, when you look at technologies like what Blockstream is doing with Liquid, it's like the ideal technology to sort of bridge that gap between what governments need to have stable coins and fiat currency and securities on a blockchain, but have it in this trust minimized way that makes sense. I'm not sure where it's going to go. I'm just kind of enjoying watching the show at the moment.
Absolutely. It's great to watch some of these people really lay it out. We have, what was the name? Schumer, Brad Schumer, of course. That was really great for him to sort of lay out these things. So like Samson said, some of these congressmen seem to be pretty woke, both on the positive and negative side of Bitcoin, though from what I've seen so far, it really does seem like these people really, really are far more concerned with Libra than Bitcoin, because I think it was even mentioned that Bitcoin, it can't be stopped. I believe that was even mentioned in the recent hearing, where they actually said that look like Bitcoin is like their capacity to kill Bitcoin is non-existent. So very interesting stuff. Let's go with Pure. What are your thoughts on the conversation so far? And the Senate seeming to be more caring about Libra than Bitcoin.
Yeah, we'll start with Libra. I mean, my initial take there right off the get-go, I think it's a net good just having it back in the public's eyes, just hearing the cryptocurrency word, right? Because in the end, Bitcoin will see a net benefit from that, I think, which is great for everybody. I'd like to know your all's thoughts after I'm done here, but Libra itself, I mean, I wouldn't think Mark Zuckerberg is dumb enough just to roll this out without talking to anybody or having some kind of back end approval somewhere, somehow. And part of me kind of feels like all these hearings and everything are just to, get people on TV, let the population see that the senators, quote unquote, care, right? I mean, that's part of me thinks about it that way a little bit. I mean, politicians in general are just very good salespeople, right? They're here to sell themselves to us, as constituents. So they're going to talk and say things we like to hear about privacy and all that kind of stuff. But in the end, do they really believe that? I don't know. We do. I mean, we need to. I mean, that's why we're all here, right? I mean, make Bitcoin fungible for everybody. So it'll be interesting to kind of see this all play out, and where, like what Samson was saying with confidential transactions, layer 2 Lightning, Liquid network, how all that plays in. I'm always a fan of what was said. Hey, if we don't agree with it, we'll just fork off, right? I mean, that's always a potential if it comes to Corporo Coin or whatever they end up doing down the road. If they're trying to regulate us into oblivion, I mean, there is always that potential that we pull another UASF situation if we had to down the road. But overall, I think it's good to just hear these guys talking and everything happening. It's going to bring, cryptocurrency to the mainstream again, I think. So I think it's a good thing.
Well, let me ask you, Samson. What are your thoughts on the regulatory clarity? Because that's what Jeremy Allaire cited as his reason for him moving his company out of the States. What are your thoughts on that? Being part of Blockstream, have you guys run into a whole lot of problem building Liquid with regulatory stuff? I mean, did you guys have to delay stuff for years? I mean, what is the landscape looking like right now for both Bitcoin and crypto? Like, if you separate them.
Well, for Liquid, we did have a legal analysis and we have a legal opinion from a few firms, and it's not like I don't think it falls under the same kind of regulatory oversight as an exchange would, because it's just a transport layer. It's a common carrier. Everything is encrypted, so even the functionaries that are running the network don't really know what's being transacted. It's just all data in there, just like Proton Mail or something. So we're pretty comfortable, and we're not a U.S. company either. We're a Canadian company, so yeah, it's good luck for you guys. I think ultimately all roads lead to Bitcoin, and all this discourse is good for Bitcoin in the end because it's making people think. And like maybe the Congress people and the senators, they're just like talking about privacy for show and just to show that they care about your data and they're against Facebook. But some people, the gears will start turning in their heads and they'll think like, well, yes, you care and it's bad and Facebook will use my data for their own purposes, but if I need to KYC to use Libra, don't they like have more data on me? So it just starts the gears churning, and I think people will understand. Maybe Bitcoin is a better alternative. Maybe I don't need a basket of stable coins. Maybe I could just use Tether. I could use Tether on Liquid and enjoy confidential Tether transactions and Tether over Lightning. And there's a whole world that opens up to you once you start questioning things and understanding what is available, what tools are at your disposal to protect your privacy.
Yeah, great comment. I mean, I really think I'm with you a little bit, Samson, and with Pure, that this is a lot of security theater almost, right? Just putting this in front of the hearing so people can see that, the congressman actually, so we have congressmen. Okay, and then, they care about us. Okay, that's good. So let's make sure I keep paying my taxes, right? So it's just kind of more of a theater kind of thing, because really, I mean, if Zuckerberg wouldn't put all of this stuff into it, all of this effort into it, if he's not going to really launch this thing, right? So I'm sure he's got some kind of backdoor to politicians and so on and so forth to be able to get this launched eventually.
I think you're giving him too much credit. You're giving Mark too much credit. I don't think he thought that far out.
Well, it is true that the governments, he does, that's a good point too, that the governments really are sort of on edge with Facebook across the globe, right? So, people might think that Zuck is all powerful, but really at the end of the day, like most of his power resides in the US, and even then it's fairly limited. But yeah, still, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because nobody's all powerful, guys, especially when it comes to geopolitics. There is all sorts of friction that companies have to go through, and so this is the natural norm. So very great comment on that, Samson. I think so. I think we can. Patrick, did you comment on this yet?
Let me give you a final comment. It's just
I
think Jack Dorsey's taken the right approach with Square and Cash App.
Definitely.
So I think honestly, Facebook is going to waste a bunch of time. They're going to spend a lot of money. I don't know. Maybe they'll make some money on this, but ultimately it's just going to be a distraction, and they're not going to deliver any innovation. There's no way Libra is going to deliver innovation to the space.
Yeah, it's great to see companies like Jack, or people like Jack with companies as big as Twitter, take that real Bitcoin only plunge and understand the future of this. And like Samson said, right, all roads lead to Bitcoin. So I think people more and more people are going to realize this, and it just takes time. Again, guys, we understand that this is complicated stuff, and of course, people have their incentives and their bags, so it's going to play out over a long period of time. But at the end of the day, it really does seem that all roads will lead to Bitcoin, because everybody, who knows the space understands that the two big things, security and liquidity, is what a chain survives on. And without these two things, you're simply, not going to be able to have a long-term survivability because you're competing with Bitcoin, and that's a zero-sum game for the most part, especially when it comes to proof of work. So again, just kind of all roads kind of lead to Bitcoin, guys. And at the end of the day, I think everybody here is really more focused. When you're focused on Bitcoin, you're focused on changing money. You're focused on global actual affecting change, right? So we're not so much focused on getting a private company on a blockchain. That's not exactly what we care about. So again, it's really, really interesting to see this play out. Let's get final thoughts from Pure before we move on. Go ahead, Pure.
I would say, and to Patrick's comment there, I mean, this could be a last-ditch effort play for Facebook to stay relevant too, because I mean they're losing with all the issues going on the last couple of years, they're losing subscribers. I mean, I haven't been on Facebook in, I don't know, 3 years now, I don't think. Thank goodness. I should have never got on. But, with what Jack's doing with Cash App, that's phenomenal. I think eventually we're going to see, I mean, they're going out and hiring developers to work on Bitcoin, right? I mean, that's a big play right there. So I think that will definitely have its mark on the industry. And again, back to the regulators and everything, I think it's right now a little show for us all to watch, but where it goes, honestly, it really doesn't matter to us. I mean, we still got Bitcoin. We're still going to do our thing. And, that's going to be that. That's what it comes down to. So.
Yeah, great point. Because again, really the only two things, in my opinion, the only two threats against Bitcoin are bugs and internet segregation. And, thanks to companies like Blockstream and Gotena, we don't, there's going to be ways to even thwart that as well. So, at the end of the day, again, I think all roads lead to Bitcoin. And that's a great point, Pure. This is regulation or not, Bitcoin will continue to survive. We will continue to run our nodes. So I think we can end the topic there. That was a great topic, guys. Again, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit subscribe. If you guys like the content, please hit that thumbs up. Helps us get into more people's feeds. We really appreciate it. And let's go ahead and get to the final topic of the day here. We got implications for Bitcoin now that 85% of the supply has been mined. So I thought this was going to be an interesting topic because, it is the fact that, Bitcoin is mostly mined out at this point. And a lot of people try to create various narratives around this, various negative narratives, such as mining death spirals and things like that. But I wanted to get everybody's opinions on this and what they think some of the implications are. So Samson, what are your thoughts on this? Is this being good or bad? And also maybe just, again, some of your high level kind of implications that this could have on the ecosystem.
Well, I don't know if it's good or bad. I think it first appeared in The Sun. It's a UK newspaper, and the headline was like, "We're running out of Bitcoin." So, I mean, it's neither good or bad. It's just funny how they wrote about it. Like, you better buy some now.
They love to spin it.
But buy some now before it runs out, and that could be a good thing. At least it's getting it into the public, this discourse. So it's not a bad thing for sure.
So what do you think this could have? Does this have any implications on the block size as far as, or fees or the pricing of fees? Do you think that this could have any effect on, how do you see its effect on, for example, the fee market?
Are you talking about the headline or the fact that we're almost finished mining the bulk of Bitcoin?
Yes, the fact that we're almost finished mining the bulk of Bitcoin.
Well, I think a lot of people did see this coming, and that's why we had a massive spike of hash rate before. I think last year the past year we added a ton of hash rate, and now we're getting close to almost 80 exahash. So it's like constantly hitting all-time highs of hash rate, adding to the network. And I think in the next 4 years we're still going to see more because people want to mine the bulk of Bitcoin before it trickles down to like a drizzle. But in terms of fees and everything else, it's hard to say what's going to happen because now we have Liquid, we have Lightning. The potential is there that a lot of the more spammier transactions and retail transactions can be offloaded. Trading, like traders trying to move money between exchanges, it's going to happen probably in Liquid at the next bull run rather than on chain. Like that helps with a lot of the on-chain transactions too, because I think a large reason for the spike in fees was just people sending transactions from exchange to exchange and putting like $100 fee because they want it in the next block. And that bumps the whole fee estimation algorithm out of whack. So then people are saying, oh, it's $50 now when it shouldn't be $50. But if you're looking, like there's different people using the chain for different things, and that can kind of impact the fees in general.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I agree. I think that this continuation of Bitcoin's price rise, the continuation of Bitcoin as a digital gold narrative. I mean, all of this seems to, and of course, the history of networks, all of this pushes stuff on layers above the base layer. And so that's why I really think that, that's why I really appreciate things like Lightning and Liquid, because, this is sort of scaling Bitcoin the way that we scaled every other public network, which of course was on these multiple layers, like the OSI layer.
That's
so
right.
That's really interesting comment. And yeah, and I also liked how, I mean, this, like you say, this sort of brings back this the game theory of Bitcoin, the incentivization. This fact that we're almost mined all the supply incentivizes more hash power. Like you said, we're having record hash power guys come on the network like crazy for the past year almost. So this is really incentivizing more hash power, which of course incentivizes more business, more economic activity, and on it goes. So this is sort of Bitcoin's killer app, right? Is money itself. That's its killer app, and then it continues to bring more incentivized to bring more and more people in here. So that's pretty great too. Let's get Patrick's thoughts. Patrick, what is your thoughts on we have this we have right now there's 21 million coins for those that don't know yet, right? We have 21 million coins, and 17 million of them have been mined. So essentially 85% of the supply has actually been mined, and the rest is just going to trickle out over the next 100 years. What are your thoughts on that implication that's going to have sort of in the next couple of years, just in the next few years?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I don't really know much about like how the lower supply schedule will impact, and we can make some assumptions that this is going to be more scarce and therefore the price is going to go up. But I'm more interested sort of in watching how Bitcoin and the fee market continues to operate in relation to other altcoins that are proof of work, that are with a fixed cap, like BCH, BSV, and Litecoin. I think we're going to see, as the fees make up a larger percentage of the reward, we're going to see a further incentive for miners to direct that energy towards Bitcoin and less towards altcoins. So, and then again, after the following happening, assuming these altcoins cannot generate enough fees to continue to prop up the reward, I'm just really happy to see the subsidy being reduced, because now we're going to start to really see how Bitcoin's going to actually operate in a really in a market that is driven more and more by the fees rather than by the subsidy. So I think the subsidy up to this point has sort of I think that how the mining industry operates and how the whole game theory of the network works has been largely dependent upon the subsidy, and I want to see that sort of shift over to the fee market. So I'm excited more to watch that. I don't care so much about what happens with the price necessarily.
Absolutely. Great comments. Let's go ahead and go with Pure. Pure, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah. Kind of to reiterate what you guys were saying, I mean, what we're looking at here, I mean, strictly, this is a deflationary asset at this point. I mean, it always has been. And as the subsidy minimizes, and let's remind people, I mean, we still got another 120 years before all of them are mined, right? So we got time. But in the end, as that subsidy gets cut in half every 4 years, fees are going to make up a bigger chunk of the miners' revenue. And that's okay in my mind, because in the end, we got the layer 2 and liquid and everything happening there for a reason. For your everyday spend you need to make happen. What you got with layer 1 Bitcoin is security. People pay for security. It's no different than, gold transitioning to paper, using bills that you could back in the day turn back in for gold. It costs a lot of money to move gold and a large dollar amount of that asset around. So it akin to how Bitcoin functions, it's going to be no different. And I think the fee structure and the incentives there, they're just going to play out how they play out. And then we've got Lightning. We'll have whatever layer 3 brings. I mean, who knows what's coming? I mean, we've got a bunch of great developers out there working on this. So I'm excited to see how it works. I am curious, to Patrick's comment there, how after next May or whenever it ends up being, what's going to happen, right? Like what does the price jump up? I mean, past history sure does, right? And we'll just have to see. What's your all's thoughts on how the fees get pulled through on the wallets? I mean, is there I wouldn't say an issue there, but what do you guys think on there?
It's essentially an issue because there's no tried and true way to actually estimate a fee, and so people try various companies try their best, and they end up. I'll let Samson comment too, but they end up overcompensating so that the user gets their transactions faster. So they end up always charging more than they should.
Sure.
Samson, what are your thoughts on that?
It's more of an art than a science because you're trying to estimate something in the future. So things can change at any given time, but a lot of wallets do a really, really bad job with fee estimation in general, and it doesn't seem like it's a priority for a lot of them. So I guess the best solution is to allow manual fee entry, like in Blockstream Green. Sorry for shilling Blockstream products, but Blockstream Green is great. You can choose what speed you want. You want fast, medium, or slow, and you could put your own fee rate. anytime. So you can always cross-reference it with some monitoring system and find out what it is right now, rather than relying on some estimation algorithm that may or may not be accurate.
Yep, and that's kind of what we have to deal with. It is more of an art than a science, like you said. So it's going to take some time, I think, for the industry to really get it right. But we're not far off right now. I mean, again, like you say, Blockstream Green does a pretty darn good job, especially when you can choose your own fee. So,
yep,
that's really great. All right, let me ask you something, Samson. I have another question regarding this. What is your thoughts on the commoditization of mining? Do you see that happening any decade soon, or is that now? Do you think that that was naive to think?
Like a commoditization in which sense? Like the
mining
hardware?
As far as mining hardware being like in everybody's home.
Like that. No, I don't think so. It's really hard. It's not about the hardware. Like the hardware is getting to be almost a commodity because they're all hitting the same limits. They're all reaching about the same efficiencies. Some are better than other. Then it comes down to like support, logistics. But ultimately, the cost of mining is power. So you'll never really see, like, I mean, you could see mining equipment in everyone's home, but it's probably not going to make sense, because if you can mine it in an industrial facility at 3 cents, 4 cents, you're going to be better than the guy mining at home for, I don't know, 10 cents, 12 cents. And it's noisy. There's a lot of setup you have to do, right? You have to like cool it down. You have to deal with the risk of fires. There's like a lot of overhead to handle if you want to. Well,
that's what I was wondering. Like, are we ever going to be able to figure out all of those issues and to where it's just like running a computer, where it just where it makes sense for the average person to be able to help them in some way?
Well, I have a vision for something down the road.
Okay.
It would be like a block eruptor, like a USB mining chip that you could just run and get some sats. And the mining pool would pay you out over the Lightning Network rather than, like on-chain transactions. So it's more like I could mine to get sats for Lightning transactions or small things, but it wouldn't be to, get a lot of Bitcoin, because you would still need a hosting facility or something where you can get cheap power and managed.
Sure. I don't mean to like for profit, but just help them somehow. But I guess, I guess that makes sense right there. Like just to be able to get some sats, plug in a USB, that would be a situation as well.
I mean, you can do that now, right? So they've got the USB single ASIC chip, USB Bitcoin miners out there. It's not, now if you plug it into your mining profitability calculator, you're in the red, but who cares? Who cares,
of course,
right?
yeah.
I mean, in some cases, for me, I'll plug it in the back of my novel or something, right? I mean, something that's already running anyway, and just let it go. And
it's great to be able to get some extra sats.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, in the end, 20 years from now, what are those going to be worth, right? Maybe it's profitable at that point, right? So you never know.
Yeah, and so you guys can feel free to ask Samson a question too, but I got a final question for you, Samson. Because this is another controversial one. Is the halving, Samson, is it priced in?
Yeah, you'll never know until after. Because
exactly.
Like for the last halving, the previous one, in January 2016, we were like $400-ish, right? And then 2 weeks before the actual halving, we kind of reached the 600s, and then we stayed in the 600s. So, it was priced in, I guess, at the time of the halving, but it's hard to say, because I actually don't think the halving has as much impact as some people may think. It's just Bitcoin as an asset class is pretty illiquid relative to other stuff right now. So any big player coming in at any time could just eat up the whole supply or buy up a large chunk of it, and the price would go up because the market depth is just not there. It's still relatively small compared to any other major asset class on the planet.
Yeah, makes sense.
All the smart ones out there aren't selling it anyway, right?
Yeah,
and that's what too. It's interesting that we're seeing the price. The price action we're seeing is nobody wants to sell below 9K. Like the market just refuses to sell Bitcoin below 9,000 right now. So it's going to be fun to watch. And obviously we absolutely are in a bull market. We have the macro trend of a bull market since April 1st, right? So at least so that's 6+ months or something. So yeah, it's interesting to see. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, because personally, I don't think it can possibly be priced in because of the world doesn't fully understand Bitcoin yet. That's a process. Mm-hmm. The market has to understand, and that takes time. And that's why Bitcoin was once 100 and now it's 10,000. So it just takes time, I guess. So that's why that were my thoughts. I don't want to get yours on that. So thank you, Samson. Do you guys have any other final thoughts on this or final questions for Samson?
Samson, when do we get in a pool with Lightning payouts?
I don't know. Maybe soon. Maybe sooner than you think. Who knows?
I hope so.
That would be cool. That would be cool. All right. Well, I think really appreciate you guys bearing with us here during the show, guys. We're going to get everybody's information right now, and then hopefully next time we'll figure it out a little bit better. But Samson, please tell us all where we can find out more about you, sir.
So I'm on Twitter at Excellion, EXCELLION, and also you can follow Blockstream at Blockstream.
Yeah, make sure you guys check that out. A lot of awesome software in the space. It's just so funny. You guys just continue to pump. You make it really difficult, Samson, to not be a Blockstream fanboy with the amount of content that you guys pump out. The amount of, I mean, these are real solutions, guys, to real problems. This is not, bananas on the blockchain. These guys are pumping out. We're talking liquid network here, so that's just really, really, really fascinating stuff, guys. Especially you guys just launched, the Tether over Liquid, so that just makes it even more fascinating. It's going to do so many great things for the whole ecosystem as a whole. People just don't even understand it yet, but that just could be awesome stuff. So blowing my mind as usual, Samson. So I really appreciate you being on the show, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Patrick, where can we find out more about you, sir?
Just find me on Twitter, P_Miller_, and then also follow Blockstream. And
everybody follow Blockstream. All right, Mr. Lightning Hood, Mr. Pure, tell us where we can find out more about your stuff, man.
Hey, Vortex, appreciate you having me on. You can find me at Pura_Vita on Twitter, at Lightning_Hood on Twitter, and lightninghood.com is our website. Just all we're doing out there is similar to you, trying to educate everybody. We have a website devoted to Bitcoin, Lightning Network, and privacy, man. So it's all trying to put it all in one place for people to take a peek and learn from. So
awesome, man. I really appreciate the work you guys are doing. I think you guys got a podcast too, right?
Oh, we do. Yeah. So it's Lightning Hood Live. We do it on Periscope because of this BS YouTube stuff that went down. So we might be switching to Zoom. You never know. So we might have to play around with that. But yeah, definitely the podcast. Check us out.
Awesome, guys. Really appreciate it. So it's a shout out to Stefan Livera too for this awesome shirt. You guys got to check it out. Orange Coin Good. Number go up. So make sure to check out Stefan Livera's podcast, guys. I think he's got some great shirts out there. I really like this one. But yeah, we're definitely going to try to figure out this problem for next time, guys. Again, YouTube has sort of discontinued the ability for Hangouts to stream to YouTube. So we're using third-party software like Zoom, and we'll hopefully get this figured out next time. So really appreciate everybody joining us live. Really appreciate everybody in the chat, guys. Thanks for the tips. Thanks for the comments. Really had a good time. A lot of good talk in there, guys. If you guys missed us live, make sure to check us out in the comments. Be happy to reply to you there. And make sure to check out the network. We're going to have more and more shows, guys, coming this fall. So subscribe to the CryptoCast network. And again, guys, if you enjoy content like this, we really appreciate it. You guys could check out the donations on our website at cryptocast.network. So until next time, guys, please keep talking Bitcoin, and we'll see you guys later.
All right. See you guys. Thanks.
Thanks. Appreciate it.